the greatest power that one can possess. A power so huge that transcends the heavens, bestowing the qualities of a king, giving the disposition to stand above others. Conquerors Haki. Yes, this power alone separates the ordinary from the supreme rulers of the world, effectively being an arbiter to determine the strongest characters within the series. Yes, just from this alone, we can potentially rank captains, swordsmen, to even the members of the navy. This Haki is by far the rarest in the entire series. We are talking one in several millions, as amongst all types of Haki, conquerors is not something one can learn. Rather, you have to be born with it. And though not always the case, it has been implied a number of times that this Haki is affected by one's lineage, showcasing a form of inherited will that is passed down throughout the generations. And who knows, if one has enough willpower and self-belief, they can even conquer the entire world. Now, before we go over the list of characters with conquerors, let me quickly mention some honorary users who likely have this Haki, but Oda is yet to confirm so. Some of the 5 elders: Roxy, Xebec, Blackbeard, Im, Aokiji, Akainu, Garb, Dragon, Sabo, Sanji, Beckman, Kobe, Mihawk, Kong, Momo, Loki, and obviously Buggy D Cloud.
Shut your stupid.
And I told her, you ain't worth. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Are you guys lonely? Do you guys need friends? Well, let me introduce you guys to Youtooz. Youtooz makes designer collectibles that captures the joy of the internet from creators, TV shows, video games, anime, and more. They even have Youtooz from my favorite animes like Hunter x Hunter and Attack on Titan. Youtooz have released hundreds of unique collectibles and plushies from your favorite creators like Mr. Beast, Markiplier, and even have stuff from TV shows like Avatar or SpongeBob. The really special thing about Youtooz is their limited edition releases. Every figure is made from a new design, and once it sells out, it's gone forever. They recently collaborated with Naruto, Hunter x Hunter, and Attack on Titan to bring all these characters to life. These figures truly are the perfect way to celebrate your favorite anime series and make your setup look extra cool. So what are you guys waiting for? Head over to youtooz.com right now and start your anime collection today. Okay, first at number 1 we have the strongest living user, red-haired Shanks. No surprise there really. Shanks is a Yonko who conquered the sea, garnering respect throughout the One Piece world with this very power and his swordsmanship skills alone. Unlike the other emperors, Shanks joined the big boys at a reasonably young age and was able to hold down his own without the use of any devil fruit. Kaido, Big Mom, and even Whitebeard possessed monstrous S-tier devil fruits which allowed them to exert power and influence further than anyone could imagine. On top of that, the other 3 Yonkos acquired a much larger crew than Shanks. All of this is a testament to Shanks' Haki, as with that alone, he was able to stand as an equal to the rest of them. And mind you, he only has 1 arm. Yes, Shanks became a Yonko after the events of losing an arm only 6 years ago. The only other pirate who was able to hold this much influence without the need of a devil fruit was Gol D, the previous pirate king. Shanks is literally the embodiment of what a conqueror should be, as even in the first chapter when we were introduced to this concept was with Shanks, as with just a glare, he's scared of a sea king. But much later on, we see Shanks flex his conqueror's Haki when he visits Whitebeard's ship to warn him about Teach. As he comes on board, he literally drops more than a dozen of Whitebeard's crew members, unconscious like they are nothing, many of whom were seasoned enough to survive the new world. In fact, even the Moby Dick, which was made to handle any harsh conditions, was damaged by the pressure of Shanks' Haki alone. Shanks then proceeds to clash with Whitebeard himself, imbuing his sword Marineford with Conqueror's Haki against Whitebeard's gigantic Naginata. This insane clash of conquerors literally splits the heavens apart, and Shanks once again was the first person to show us what Haki is all about. And though Shanks is one of the very few people in the world who can use all 3 types of Haki, his mastery and use of conquerors is on a completely different level. Shanks has shown the ability to unleash his conquerors from a considerable distance to pinpoint a target, even a powerful foe like the Marine Admiral Green Bull. Green Bull, who upon being hit by the Conqueror's Haki appeared to be in extreme pain and almost paralyzed by the force. Shanks then through his Haki showcased a unique ability of sharing his will, like a form of communication similar to that of the voice of all things. Shanks' mastery of conquerors doesn't stop here, as Oda revealed he is known for his advanced use of this type of Haki, specifically with observation killing, a technique that allows for the control of one's own aura or presence, negating an opponent's ability to see into the future with their advanced observation. So pretty much he counters Katakuri, Kaido and even Luffy's insane future sight. And currently, Shanks is the only confirmed user of this ability. All of this fills in the hole with Shanks' intervention in the Summit War and him stopping Kaido from joining the fray. Shanks with just his merry group warded off Kaido, who is a monster in his own rights. Likely no actual battle took place. Rather, it must have just been a clash of Haki. Later, Shanks drops in Marineford unnoticed, where we now know it was due to his observation killing ability. Shanks then single-handedly stops the mad dog Akainu, effectively ending the war. Blackbeard with his newly acquired power and crew still didn't want the smoke. Just think about that. Overall, to put things into perspective, Kaido did say that Luffy is more like an underdog and comparable to the greats of Shanks, Rocks and so on and so forth, considerably showed him to be weaker. Luffy in his fight showcased a Haki that towered the whole of Onigashima, so logically Shanks' Haki would be even greater than that. Next up is Luffy, the youngest emperor of the sea, the man who will become the Pirate King. With him defeating Kaido and overpowering him, it is no surprise that he is so high up on the list, because with his Conqueror's Haki, he did live up to Kaido's challenge, asking if he could hang with the big boys at the top, where ultimately what won him his fight was the use of his conquerors. Luffy's journey with his Conqueror's Haki started right before Shabondi against the Flying Fish Riders, where he stops Duval's pet Motobaro with a single glare. Then at Amazon Lily, Luffy's unconscious use of his conquerors was so strong that he stopped Margaret's group from being killed. Now don't get me wrong, these ain't no regular run-in-the-mill pirates. They are the top girls of Amazon Lily. We're talking about Wonder Woman type of shit. They have mastery over Haki and have experienced it through their captain Boa Hancock. However, a Luffy who has no idea how Haki works knocked them back. Luffy's conquerors were so strong that he conquered the heart of the most beautiful woman in the world, and mind you, who is a strong conqueror user herself. Next at level 5 in Impel Down, Luffy used his conqueror's Haki to knock out attacking wolves. At this point, he was barely conscious or alive after being poisoned by Magellan, along with making it through the harshest environments of Impel Down. However, Luffy's will to live on was so strong that after all of these hardships, he conquered everything, even the poison in his body, getting back to his feet within a day of brutal hormone treatment by Bangkok. Luffy, with his will to save Ace, raced to Marineford, knocked out elite marines plus the New World pirates with his unpolished Conqueror's Haki. But the biggest change happened after the devastating punch of reality in Marineford. Luffy then spent 2 years training with Rayleigh, where afterwards in Fishman Island, Luffy Conqueror
Conqueror's Haki was so strong, it knocked out 50,000 members of the new Fishman Pirates in an instant. Later in Dressrosa, he went toe to toe, knocking back a legend in his own right, the Conqueror Haki user Don Xingzhao. But Luffy's Haki got even sharpened further, more and more, with him facing off against Doflamingo, a warlord of the sea and someone who had a tight grasp on his own usage of the color of Supreme King. But Luffy smacked him right down from his castle. By this point at Whole Cake Island, he even overcame the conquerors of a Yonko commander, Katakuri, where then he later even faced off against Big Mom's Haki. Now though in Wano, Luffy initially got one-shotted by Kaido, and unconscious Luffy's Haki was so powerful it knocked out the New World Beast Pirates and even piqued the interest of Kaido. After doing some prison training with Hyuga, Luffy's rematch with Kaido showcased how much he had grown, where just by observing Kaido coating his attack with conquerors and using the Rio technique, he was able to replicate the same process and master the imbuement of conquerors with every attack. With this advanced mastery of conquerors, he knocked Kaido off his feet whilst imitating the levels of legends like Whitebeard's and Roger's attack where the blades don't even touch. Luffy then showcased that he too can split the heavens apart as he continued his fight with Kaido. Luffy's control over his advanced Conqueror's Haki became stronger and stronger as the fight went on, with him getting to the point where during his Gear 5, everything his conquerors could reach was affected by his Devil Fruit, which was something unheard of. It even went to a point where the people inside of Onigashima could feel Luffy's tremendous Haki. With Luffy's final Gear 5 island-sized finishing move, he overpowered the conquerors of Kaido, one of the strongest creatures and emperors, whom at the start of the fight declared that the one who can defeat him will have to reach the heights similar to that of Roger and Shanks. Being the protagonist of the series and having a dream of becoming the Pirate King, Luffy's control and advancement of Conqueror's Haki will eventually become even greater than Shanks and Roger.
It should not come as a surprise that one of the 4 emperors of the sea wields the color of the Supreme King. But even so, Kaido manages to stand out. Kaido is already a really powerful individual capable of using his physical capabilities to its extreme. And in conjunction with his Devil Fruit, it already is enough to beat out a huge majority of opponents in the sea. But being the strongest creature alive cannot be achieved through only Devil Fruit powers, as the true power is all about Haki, according to Kaido himself. This is why Kaido is one of the most advanced users of Haki, and his Conqueror's Haki is also no joke, as with its might alone, Kaido can release such a powerful burst of black lightning that even his surroundings get damaged. But the most important detail is the fact that he was the character to introduce us to a new realm of Conqueror's Haki altogether. Through Kaido's expertise, he's able to infuse his Kanabo with Conqueror's Haki and strike opponents with incredible force thanks to his sheer physical ability. This strike is strong and fast enough for many seasoned pirates to be taken down by in only a couple of strikes. Kaido's conquerors went head to head with Big Mom, who is his senior, which led to the heavens splitting apart. Kaido had such a strong will that he faced off against the Red Scabbards, fought the 5 supernovas in Luffy, Law, Kid, and Zoro and Killer, tanked the 9 sword-style conquerors, infused Ashura Strike from Zoro, then fought Yamato, another conquerors user, devastating her ice shields, and then afterwards he fought Luffy in Snake Man form with advanced conquerors coded attacks, finally only losing when Luffy went Gear 5. This all happened in one night, by the way, so this dude is utterly broken. Big Mom is in the same league as Kaido, as she is also one of the 4 emperors of the sea. Although it may not seem like it, Big Mom's mastery over Conqueror's Haki is actually quite immense. Back during the events of Whole Cake Island, Big Mom used her Conqueror's Haki during Sanji's wedding. She was able to pin a man down and knock him out with just her aura alone after he had questioned her relationship with Mother Carmel. One of the downsides of the Conqueror's Haki is the fact that it's difficult to control and can easily cause a lot of collateral damage, even for your allies. However, this This proves the great amount of control Big Mom has by knocking down only one man, whereas even people who were right next to him didn't even feel a disturbance. Later during the wedding, she got knocked out after the picture of Mother Caramel got destroyed. In response to this, Big Mom released her Conqueror's Haki without control, which rendered most of the participants unconscious. Big Mom even managed to destroy the rockets that were made to kill her with only her Conqueror's Haki aura, showcasing its destructive nature. Additionally, afterwards, with just her Conquerors alone, she managed to make Luffy struggle in pain, whilst knocking away Katakuri, along with having a lot of her strongest kids and the Germa 66 squirm in agony. Out of all the Conqueror's Hakis we've seen, you could argue that the most destructive user of it is actually Big Mom. Later during the events of Wano, Big Mom would fight Kaido, which proved that she is part of the handful few who can use advanced Conquerors. Instead of a weapon like Kaido's, Big Mom infuses her Conqueror's Haki into her arms, just like typical armament Haki. Big Mom is similar to Kaido in that she too shares incredibly potent physical powers since birth, so combining her strength like this with her destructive Conqueror's Haki is devastating for almost all pirates. When she was using her strength against Kaido, the extremely potent clash of Conquerors made the sky split. All of our wishes came true when Rayleigh, the first mate of the Roger pirates, made an appearance. This goat could knock out a room full of people unconscious in an instant and deal with anything that seemed out of control, just like a magician. Rayleigh is arguably the best Haki user alive due to multiple reasons. He is the most experienced pirate, and he has perfected his Haki for decades. What I'm saying is backed up by proof, of course, because he taught everything about Haki to Luffy and turned him into a literal monster in just under 2 years. By the new Fishman Island arc, Luffy's Conqueror's Haki was strong enough to knock out 50,000 people unconscious, and you're telling me his sensei can't do that? Bruh, this dude can knock out 100,000, probably 1,000,000 people, let's be honest.
Stop the cap.
Luffy stated that his master Rayleigh could knock out 100,000 pirates present. Luffy was literally able to develop Gear 4 only because of Rayleigh's deep knowledge of Haki. With that said, Luffy isn't his only student, as Shanks alongside Buggy the Great were taught by him. This man's Haki is so busted he single-handedly took out a whole navy force apart from the vice admirals and admirals in an instant. He can also channel his Conqueror's Haki much like Shanks, which we explained above. The mention of the name Rayleigh sends shivers down people's spines due to how powerful he is. And this is all through him not being a devil fruit user. At the age of 78, he easily subdued a young, overpowered admiral with a Logia fruit. What's more scary is that my guy swam across the calm belt, which no ship dares to cross, and casually passed through the Sea Kings as though they were mere fishes of the sea. This is only possible due to immense conquerors shaking the will of anything that faced off against him. Now let's talk about the only official known marine capable enough to use Conqueror's Haki, Sengoku the Buddha. While he became one of the most disliked characters in the series due to his position during Marineford, Sengoku is amongst the most important and knowledgeable people in the series. Sengoku is 5 years older than Whitebeard, being one of the oldest characters in the series. Now at age 79, it is said that Sengoku is aware of all the details about the world of One Piece. Throughout his life, alongside Garp, Sengoku has fought legends like Gol D Roger, Edward Newgate, Rayleigh, Shiki the Golden Lion, and many more. To do so, it is apparent that having the will of a king is essential, as without it, it can prove to be a tall obstacle when faced off against the greats. A lot of people, when they first meet the Straw Hats, assume that Zoro is actually the captain because he gave off the captain's aura while Luffy was just jumping around goofing off with Usopp and Chopper. And now after Wano, we finally know why. It was all because he carried the color of the king himself. We got hints of Zoro's Conqueror's Haki in the anime when he unconsciously took out members of the Beast Pirates with his Haki. However, a little bit later during Roof Piece is when Kaido confirmed to us that Zoro's 9-sword style Ashura attack had Conqueror's Haki imbued in it. So this could suggest that even before time skip at Eni's lobby, when Zoro out of nowhere whipped open the gates of hell using Ashura, it might have just been him making use of the conquerors without even knowing. The level of mastery Zoro seems to have with his conquerors is on par, if not greater than Luffy. Because after realizing he had conquerors a few moments later during his battle against King, Zoro decided to go all out using his Haki by conquering Enma, the ruler of hell, imbuing it with everything he had. This is where he, on purpose, used Haoshoku to knock out low-ranked beast pirates. Remember, it took Luffy knowledge from Amazon Lily, and after time skip, he was able to use it at will. However, he didn't even learn to imbue conquerors onto his fists after 2 years of training from Rayleigh, training for Hyogoro, and seeing Kaido coat his attacks in conquerors. That was only when Luffy could do this. But Zoro over here, being the monster he is, manages to imbue all 3 of his blades with advanced conquerors. As the battle against King went on, Zoro showed even more conscious control over this advanced technique, subsequently defeating King. Honestly, from the first time we met Zoro, he had the will to stand through the entire ordeal of taking Luffy's pain. Like, Kuma even gave him a tiny taste of it, but he didn't waver. He stood all night for his captain and his crew's safety. All of these feats make Zoro one of the most feared men with conquerors in the sea. Yamato, being the daughter of an emperor, having the Oni blood running inside of her, of course possesses conquerors Haki. Yamato is the youngest known conquerors Haki user, awakening it at just 8 years old, while she was running wild throughout Onigashima Rock, knocking out full-grown adult beast pirates left and right. And after 20 years, Yamato has shown one of the best mastery in Haoshoku Haki, where she's not only able to knock out enemies at will, but she can also coat her weapons in advanced conquerors. We saw this during her fight against Kaido, where her use of conquerors was so OP that she was actually making Kaido step back and even took him off his feet. One thing we have to remember with Yamato is that she had her sea stone cuffs on since the age of 8. Being a devil fruit user, it greatly took away her strength. Looking at how weak it made Luffy when he first arrived in Udon prison, one can only imagine what Yamato can do after being freed. Within 3 weeks of having sea stone cuffs on and training, Luffy went from getting one-shot by Kaido to fighting him toe-to-toe. However, Yamato had these on for 20 years, and with these cuffs on, she went even in her battle against Ace. After having a will strong enough to last 20 years of torment by Kaido, not letting up her identity of Oden as a way to rebel against her father, Yamato having conquerors Haki is just no surprise, alright? She's the GOAT. Charlotte Katakuri, the 1 billion bounty man, is someone you cannot underestimate. Since his debut in Whole Cake Island arc, we knew that he'd be involved in a major fight later in the arc, and he was. Katakuri fought Luffy during the second half of Whole Cake Island, where he really showed what pirates worth 1 billion berries are made of. He first revealed his Conqueror's Haki as he used it simultaneously with Luffy to knock out Flampe and her subordinates. Luffy overcame the likes of Dofi, but came to a stalemate under the fire of Katakuri's display of will. Throughout most of the fight, Katakuri expressed a far superior version of Haki, something that us fans could barely believe. It was so OP that it almost seemed unfair. This is a major feat, as Katakuri has learned all of this through the multiple fights he has been involved in over the past years, because this man is 47 years old, alright? Yeah, he doesn't look it, but he is old as hell. And through his constant hard work, he has stayed on top of the Big Mom Pirates, because remember, he isn't the firstborn son. It's actually Perospero, but he ranks higher.
Don Quixote Doflamingo, a former warlord of the sea, is one of the earliest and strongest users of Conqueror's Haki. Descending from the family of celestial dragons, Doflamingo was an extremely entitled fucking bitch, to say the least. Anyway, when his father gave away his position as a celestial dragon and started living a normal life, their family was tortured and chased around their whole lives. But this time they were doomed. It was clear that it was only a matter of time before an angry mob of people were going to catch up to them. and as their ends neared, Luffy managed to use his conqueror's haki to knock out everybody chasing them, all at the age of 10. Luffy is one of the only few who displayed the will of a king without coming from a direct line of conqueror users, though this could postulate that all the Celestials are in fact chosen by the heavens, or that Luffy is just an exception. With his overwhelming will, Doflamingo was able to put down the majority of the G5 soldiers at Punk Hazard, where he then easily proceeded to manhandle Vice Admiral Smoker. Only later, during Dressrosa, Luffy is challenged by Luffy's conquerors and finally defeated. However, his fight showcased the insane level that he was at. Their conquerors' clash literally rippled throughout Dressrosa, sending back lightning in every direction possible. A Eustass kid of the South Blue has become an important figure in recent years due to his notoriety as a pirate. Firstly, he belonged to one of the 12 pirates from the worst generation, and furthermore, he survived a battle against one of the 4 emperors, Shanks. Later, he made history by defeating Big Mom alongside Trafalgar D. Law. This fight was nothing short of amazing, as both Kid and Law displayed their full strength. But before this, Kid also fought the alliance of Kaido and Big Mom alongside Killer, Law, Zoro, and Luffy. During this fight, Kaido confirmed that Kid had access to Conqueror's Haki, making him an extremely rare pirate with the ability to use all 3 types of Haki. And whilst we haven't been provided with explicit moments of Kid's use of the ability, a confirmation from one of the 4 emperors will suffice, thank you very much. Guys, it's time to talk about our goddess, our love and saviour, Boa Hancock. She is the greatest female pirate in history, being the only woman to ever hold the position of a warlord. Although the warlord system has been discontinued, she can be my warlord anytime. She has been confirmed to possess the ability to use Conqueror's Haki. I always knew this, as she conquered my heart the moment she stepped into frame.
Shut your
Now, but for real now, okay? Boa Hancock is a pretty strong individual, and whilst we don't know the full extent of her Conqueror's Haki, if we take her armament Haki as a scale to measure her growth, then she'd be pretty insane. Boa's armament Haki is at a very advanced stage, allowing her to hit Logia type Devil Fruit users with ease. And let's not forget her past, where she escaped and lived through the brutal childhood as the Celestial Dragon's slave. It's a testament of her will to survive and protect her sisters as the Pirate Empress, strengthening her Conqueror's Haki even more. The most unexpected entry into this list is none other than Don Chinchao, the leader of the Chinchao family. This is because during the Dressrosa arc, nobody really expected this man to be as strong as he is.
Look at the top of his head!
Especially at his age. Not only is he a proficient user of Conqueror's Haki, but Don Chinchao is also one of the only people in the world with the ability to use all 3 types of Haki. Aged 78, this man belongs to the same generation of Gol D, Roger, Rayleigh, Garp, and Sengoku. First introduced during the Dressrosa arc, Chinchao displayed his Conqueror's Haki by knocking out countless opponents involved in the tournament for the Mera Mera no Mi, Ace's Devil Fruit. This is a big feat, as everybody involved in the tournament was a notably strong person who was renowned in at least one part of the world. As a matter of fact, Chinchao even had a sort of rivalry against Garp and fought against Gol D Roger, all without a Devil Fruit. The most notable moment of his Conqueror's display was against Luffy. Don Chinchao, though being overpowered by Luffy's Conqueror's attack, showcased he had the ability to shake the world. Okay, and now with that, we have to move on to the dead ones.
I'm not laughing.
In terms of the strongest Conqueror's Haki users of all time, there is one name that will always be brought up. You don't really need me to tell you, but it's Gol D Roger, alright? The person who started. You knew this. With the highest bounty of all Conqueror's Haki users and the world, it is no secret that Roger is without a doubt the most powerful and influential character in all of One Piece. He was the first person in 800 years to have fully conquered the Grand Line, which was something so monumental that it earned him the title of Pirate King. Again, you know this. Why am I telling you? But what you might not know is that Roger was an advanced user of all types of haki, including conquerors. This was displayed with his clash against Whitebeard during Oden's flashback. As both of their blades clashed, they weren't making full contact with each other. The power they produced was felt throughout the entire island, and the wind pressure it created was enough to even lift a human and send him flying. This is only something that an advanced Conqueror's user is able to do. The ability to coat yourself in Conqueror's Haki. And in chapter 1010, Kaido explains that coating yourself in Conqueror's Haki is only possible by a handful of strong individuals, and of course, Roger was no exception. But perhaps Roger's biggest feat of all is his fight against the Rocks Pirates, which was composed of Rocks D, Xebec, Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, and many more. Roger, alongside Garp, had to fight at least 4 other Conqueror's Haki users, and they came out on top with what was essentially the Yonkos at that time. Which brings us on nicely to Edward Newgate, aka Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. With the second highest bounty after the Pirate King and a crew worth over 10 billion berries, it's no surprise that this man would have some of the strongest haki we have ever seen in One Piece. Whitebeard's haki is so refined that he is able to coat himself in Conqueror's haki. Other than the event of him clashing against Roger, which I previously mentioned, the big event, which was the first haki clash we ever saw in One Piece, was at Whitebeard and Shanks. Everyone knows the moment I'm talking about. It was pure fire! The moment that both of them clashed, they split the heavens with only one swing. This wasn't even prime Whitebeard, meaning he wasn't at full power. I mean, just look at him. Does that scream prime to you? Whitebeard's haki clearly diminished throughout his time, and though we didn't visually see his conquerors in the Summit War, however, with it Whitebeard was able to turn Marineford upside down. Literally. Yes, a lot of it was due to his devil fruit, but with his Conqueror's Haki, Whitebeard gave his attacks the edge it needed. Kozuki Oden, arguably the strongest swordsman ever in history. The man who gave Kaido his infamous scar and beat him in a 1v1. It was even stated in chapter 795 to always bet on Kaido if it's a one-on-one fight. However, Oden was able to defeat him with his Haki. Let's be honest, if it wasn't for this bitch interfering with their fight, Oden had this pretty much in the bag. Oden was able to cut Kaido through his tough dragon scales coated with Conqueror's Haki. It took Zoro everything he had and his strongest attack to barely scar Kaido. And Kaido is dubbed the strongest creature in the world, meaning there is no other creature that would be able to beat him. However, saying that, Oden was able to do so. Oden displayed all the qualities of a king from a very young age, as at the age of 9, he was already a very skilled swordsman, to the point where he waged war on all of the Yakuza until he was arrested at the age of 10 for almost killing someone. And at the age of 18, Oden was able to cut in half a giant boar known as the Mountain God with such precision that it didn't kill the boar, as it was able to be put together later on. But most notably, Oden went full throttle and clashed with Whitebeard on his arrival to the lands of Wano. Likely after his journey with Newgate and then later Roger, Oden polished his conquerors to an unseen level, allowing him to leave the scar he did on Kaido. Oden was likely the only known user to possess conquerors throughout Wano, as when Luffy displayed its use, Doji referred to it as Oden's special trick.
As one would expect, Luffy's sworn brother Portgas D Ace is a user of Conqueror's Haki. As a matter of fact, Ace is one of the youngest known characters to have used this overpowered ability at just 10 years old. This was against the Blue Jam Pirates, who were hired by Sabo's parents to get rid of Ace and Luffy, but they ended up getting thrown into the very fire they set up. up. During this immense pressure to save himself and Luffy, Ace used Conqueror's Haki subconsciously, knocking out the entire Blue Jam pirates besides the captain. Ace proved himself to be stronger than full-grown pirates who had a decent-sized ship to their name, along with being capable enough to defend themselves from bandits and other threats. Unfortunately, this is the only recorded moment of Ace's use of this ability, as his screen time has been fairly low after the times because, you know, he died. Oh my god. Ace, after witnessing his brother Luffy use Conqueror's Haki to save his life, showcased his perspective on this power. Ace, being born as the son of Roger, felt cursed and likely saw the power of Conquerors as a heavy burden. Now though, Ace lost to Blackbeard and was killed by a Kainu. It's highly suggestive that Ace had a decent control over his Conquerors, as it is apparent that Ace must have used his Haki at multiple occasions and shifted the tides of battles. He was the commander of the 2nd division of the Whitebeard pirates, alright? That's a huge thing to achieve. And you're telling me this dude can't use Conquerors? Get that shit out of here. Imagine just how strong the guy would have been if he had realized his true potential. Ace would have become strong enough to defend himself against even Yonkos with ease. We have seen how important Conqueror's Haki is time and time again, especially as we come closer to the end of the series. Maybe if Ace had strengthened his Conqueror's use, he might have been able to defeat Akainu in Marineford and not die. Even the lineage factor comes into play with Ace's Haki, as his father was the pirate king Gol D Roger, who likely had the strongest Haki out of anyone. However, Ace's doubts due to his self-loathing attitude and still trying to find a reason to live never helped him. Because remember, Haki is the literal embodiment of one's will over others.